Dallas Police Department facing a staff shortage, and the chief says millennials are to blame.
We have nights, weekends, and holidays, and those are some of the things that are not necessarily attractive to the millennials who want all days off and to be the chief in 6 months. So we recognize that that is a challenge for us.
All right, to increase interest, Chief Renee Hall is looking at everything from rewarding officers who recruit candidates to eliminating some of the automatic disqualifiers for potential officers, like minor drug use from somebody's past. But is lowering the requirements a good idea here?
That's the big question, and here to weigh in is former police officer, investigator, and crime and justice expert. Quite a title there. Vincent Hill, thank you for joining us this morning. Is this a problem? Is this a big problem that we're starting to see as a trend?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to Chief Hall's point, police work is definitely not for millennials. It's definitely not a 9-to-5. There's no Care Bears in policing or at police stations. It's a very stressful job, and I speak from experience. So it's definitely a problem that we're facing to try to get qualified officers, not only in the city of Dallas, but around this country.
Well, you know, the interesting thing is that if they are going to lower the bar to be a police officer, that can be very dangerous. If you recall back in the 70s and 80s when they had the cocaine epidemic in South Florida, Miami police just hired a ton of cops, and the standards weren't that high, and half of them ended up being corrupt. And that's the risk that you run when you don't take every single hire on a police force seriously, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I took the background check for policing, they asked had I smoked marijuana, and I answered truthfully, no. I think maybe I was the only one that hadn't, but you know, from childhood I wanted to be a police officer, and part of that is holding yourself to a higher standard of the people you're sworn to serve and protect. And I think you open yourself up for a lot of legal issues, because let's just say there's a police shooting and it's someone that happened to use drugs in the past, right? The public's already thinking that police are corrupt, they're criminals. So just imagine the legality when that defense attorney says, oh, this officer used to use drugs, so why was he even on the street anyway?
What is your message for the millennials that we're talking about who, as the chief said, you know, doesn't want to work anything other than 9-to-5, doesn't want to work the holidays? What would you say to them?
Well, I would say policing is definitely not for them. I think in the 6 years I was on, I think I worked every Thanksgiving and every Christmas. My family was upset about it, but those are the duties of the job. So if you're looking for quick resolution, quick advancement, if you want to be the chief of police in 6 months, don't go into policing. It's definitely not for you.
You know, in the climate right now in this country, there has been a lot of vilification of police officers, and they're viewed as the bad guy by a lot of people in this country that don't really understand how I think this country works. Is that part of the problem as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to think millennials themselves think that police are the bad guys. The majority of millennials, you know, are in agreement with the NFL protests because of police brutality based on what I believe to be a false narrative. So anytime you have a group of people that already see police as bad people, it's not a good mix for them to then try to become a police officer.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Vincent Hill, thank you.
Thank you, sir, very much.